Well, hey kids, welcome back. On this episode, we're going to make a modular stand for bead roller out of new to me, but could be old to you, engine stand. They're kind of universal in some ways, so you can take some standard parts and put it together. It cost me $0 actually to build this thing, so it shouldn't cost you that much to do it, even if you got to go out and buy the pieces. There's not much to it. Pretty easy to do. It's kind of customizable to your application, and I tell you, it works pretty good. If you think you know what I'm going to do, hang out to the end because you might find out that you don't. So let's do it. All right, let's take a look at what we're starting with here. I said that this is not really important because what I mean to do is use this adapter I'm going to make on other engine stands. But I want to show you what this is now. If you follow the channel, which I hope you do, I've said it many times. I do try to buy non-imported stuff. There just really isn't too much in the way of affordable anything like this that isn't imported. And if I can't do that, I try to buy used because I figure, hey, at least at that point, the money hopefully stays in the country. I started looking around for used stuff, and I don't know if it's the economy or what, but I mean, people are wanting like new prices for some old beat up stuff, and I'm just not going to pay $100 for one that probably had a full dressed 460 bouncing around on it, and it's all clapped out. And building one, I mean, if you add up the price of the casters and the steel to make one, because it's not a tough project to do. It's all pretty much straight cuts, maybe hour of welding and drilling holes. But you can't buy the materials either. So I got this for $41 shipped. It was on sale and had some other coupon or something like that. So that's about as cheap as you're going to get. However, you do get what you pay for. And if you take a look at this thing, it looks okay on the surface, but there are several, I'd say, indicators that it ain't the greatest. I don't know if you can see the highlight going across where that bolt head is. That's actually just from tightening the bolts up, and I'm not killing it. I was all hand tight. It bent the tubing, so it's not very heavy duty. The other thing when I got to put together is it's got one caster with a brake on it. You can see that closest to us here, but I don't know if you can tell or not. But that's not touching the floor, and that kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought, well, is something bent? Well, it's not bent per se, more of welded crooked. The back where they welded this kind of T together here. It's probably not really going to show up here, but it's crooked. That's why it's kind of flying in the front there on the left side. No big deal. I'll put a washer on it and space it back down to where it's on the ground again. But everything's just really thin. These are solid on my other engine stands. It's hollow. Damage from right out of the box there. But it's going to do what we need to do. Now, one thing I want to point out, because we're going to have to deal with that, is, most of these, I got a real old one that's got a welded nut and a bolt, and it just kind of grips onto this tube here to keep it from turning. But most of them have something like this where there's 8 holes or something around there, and it's got this little linch pin in there that you pull out and rotate the engine to whatever position you want with this handle here that wouldn't fit through the hole. And when I tried, it scratched it all up, so I had to dress that with a file so where it would slide in to the hole on the back. Well, that's enough beating this thing up. Like I say, it's supposed to be 750 pounds capacity. There's no safety factor with this Chinese stuff. They probably didn't even test it. They just said, yep, probably 750 is good. I read a comment, a review online of this particular model, which is a Vivor, by the way. I suppose that's how you say it, Vivor. But he said, I put a small block on here, and thing was just about bent in two. And I'm like, well, I know what one of those weighs, and you're getting close to what they say it will hold. For me, this is going to be small blocks and, not small blocks, V6s and 4-cylinders, and something that I'm not overworking it too much. I got a bunch of engine stands, and the whole point was I didn't want to cut this thing up, because that's what most people do when they get the engine stand to make what we're going to make. They'll get it. It's all put together, and they'll start hacking away at it. And it's an irreversible change. You can't use it as an engine stand anymore. And I didn't want to do that. And I thought, hey, if I make it to where this works pretty good, maybe I'll adapt some other stuff to it as well. Because what I noticed with my other engine stands is there was some inconsistency, but I'd say 3 out of the 4 that I have, this is a kind of standardized. It's 2 3/4 inches, and that just happens to be the outside diameter of 2-inch pipe. So I figured that that's something I might actually have, and I did in the junk pile. I used to work for a company called Simplex Grinnell, and the Grinnell side of things did sprinklers, and I will tell you that there was a dumpster full of pipe that was just too short for them to use when they're doing sprinkler installs, and they'd leave it at the job site or bring it back on the trucks and just throw it away. So things may have changed, but they're probably you can probably get some of that for free, for the length that you need, because you don't need a big run of pipe to do what we're going to do. And even if you have to buy it, it's not that much money. So this is going to be pretty low cost. So anyway, enough of talking about this thing and beating it up. Let's show what we're going to do here. All right, well, here's why we're doing all this. This is, your typical plate type bead roller. I mean, Harbor Freight used to make one of these. I think Woodward Fab has a version, Eastwood. This is Northern Tools, house brand, Klutch. I mean, they're probably all coming out of the same factory. Another Black Friday deal. Tried to buy one used, couldn't find it. Got a good deal on this one, but we need to make a stand for this thing. I mean, it's this bench mount or vice mounted or something like that, but I think that's what they're calling it. But yeah, that's pretty, you can do it that way. It's pretty clumsy. I did, playing around with it. Hardly used this thing because I knew I wanted to build a stand. I believe most of the ones I've seen have these holes in the middle here. I think they're, I don't even remember what they are, M10, M12, something like that. But whatever, it's a bolt you can get. And I got a couple stuck in the backside so we can mount this thing up. But they're heavy, and they still flex, and there's lots of modifications you can do. If you got one, I'd highly recommend checking out Jerry Kirkpatrick's channel on YouTube. He's made some pretty amazing modifications, makes his own dies, out of washers and skateboard wheels, and, pretty much took all the problems this thing has out, because, you can't really, there is no mid-priced bead roller. There's these things, and then there's, the $5,000 Mintler Brothers ones, which are incredible. I've used them, but unless you got a shop doing pretty well, you're not going to be able to justify that kind of purchase. But that's what we're going to do, and what we're going to do to mount it is, like I said, got some good old pipe here. This is actually as weird as it gets. This is from a satellite dish that was in my yard. Of course, don't have satellite no more, and pulled that thing up. It was set in concrete. Cut a couple pieces of it up. This is the last piece that I have of it that I was saving for kind of a mini Gene Winfield style pipe anvil that I still will build, but I had this with 2 other sizes of pipe. But it's going to give us life to make our little adapter here. You can see I already drilled a hole in it down here, and I'll explain why there's just one hole. Here's the plate that is actually going to do the mounting. Now, I didn't get all fancy on you here. This was just a crazy shape of steel. You can see the remnant of it here that we're not going to use. That was in the scrap bin at work from the CNC plasma table. And I thought, well, hey, why not? It's got an angle on it. There's an angle on the upright of the engine stand. It's kind of angled back. So, we got a pattern element there. It's hard to see, but it's not 90 degrees there. It's got an angle. But we'll line those up, and maybe it'll look like it's supposed to be there, and that I actually put some style into it when it was really just a piece of steel that I had. See, I already marked and drilled the holes, and I did mention that there's one hole in this. What we're going to end up with when we're done is something that looks like that, like a big shark fin on a tube there. In the height I set based off of what other ones that I've used. They're like 44 to 46 inches or something like that. The smartest thing I read is that it should be about elbow height when you're standing, and you should be able to sit on a stool and work small pieces. So that works out to where the actual throat here is right in that sweet spot that I described, that 44 inches. So that's how I knew the length to do this. Of course, you're building your own. You're going to have to lay it out and make it to where it's comfortable. You can experiment with it and see. I think having it about elbow height, and what I mean is, if you're standing up straight and you drag the tape measure from the pivot on your arm, your elbow to the floor, whatever that is, that should be about where the throat height is for you. I mean, if you're a circus midget or an NBA player, your results may vary, but it should be in that range for most people, and you just don't want to be bending over to do it. Not because you can't, but because that's just going to wear you out, and you're more likely to make a mistake if you're not comfortable when you're doing anything in the shop, whether it be welding or painting or whatever. You need to get set, get comfortable, or it's going to affect your work. Now, what I want to show you here is, as I told you earlier, this just happens to work out. This is 2 3/4 2 3/8 inches in there, and you see it fits in there actually better than the head does on it. And what's going on with the head, it's meant to rotate. We don't need it to do that. We just need one hole. That's why there's one. And I could go use that linchpin that I had on there and just drop that in there and boom, done, right? Well, I don't want to do that, because take a look at this. If you can see out here, this isn't telescopic tubing. It fits inside the other, and that's about it. But what I'm going to do is found out this hole is pretty close. I'm sure it's metric, but it's 1/2 inch hole, and so that's what I drilled in the pipe here, and then I can use 1/2 inch 13 hardware and put a bolt on the top and a nut on the inside. Now you can reach in far enough and hold that and get the nut started and tighten it, but I'm not going to do that because that's just a hassle to do it every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of flat bar that I've already drilled a 1/2 inch hole in and weld that nut to that flat bar, stick it in there, and then weld it to this tube out here, because I can't get the welder in all the way. I can't get the welder in that far to weld the nut onto the inside, or I would just do that. But I weld the nut to the bar and then the bar to the tube here. It doesn't matter if it's got some wiggle down here on the end, as long as you can get the bolt in and tighten it up. And I've already did exactly what I said I don't want to do, is I put the bolt in the nut and held it in place and tightened it up, and it's rock solid. It's exactly what we want. It's nice and tight. So I'm going to make a prediction here before we even get this put together that there's still going to be a lot of flex in this stand after the fact. But I want to get the physical mounting location set up to where we got the bead roller, mounted out here on the front in the stand where we want it, and then we'll just troubleshoot and go right back through and find out where there's some flex at, and we'll take it out. I mean, if we have to make a welded connection where there's a bolted one, we'll do that. If we need to put a shim in there, we'll do that. You can fix all that stuff because it doesn't hinder the operation of the engine stand, because like I said, at the end, I want to be able to bolt this thing on there and say, I need another engine stand. I'll pull this whole unit out of here, set it off to the side, put the engine mount head back on here, and I got an engine stand again. Or if I like how this works, I'll mount something else in there. Maybe I'll put my shrinker stretchers on here. I don't know. I mean, I like modular things. I like things that you can move around in the shop. I mean, I don't care how big your shop is, floor space is always a premium, and bolting something down and making it having a permanent location, is never something I want to do. I got a lot of things on wheels. I mean, there's stuff you just can't move, like a 4-post lift easily, or, a big machine tool or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But, if you can move the tool to where you're working, or just move it out of the way when you're not using it, that's just way more efficient. So let's get this thing put together and we'll see how it works. All right, I mentioned earlier of how I was going to put threads in this so I didn't have to stick a wrench in there. You see I got the hole in here. I got this push back so you can see what I'm doing here. This was just a piece of my garage door opener. Just tack the nut onto the bottom of that and put the bolt and nut together, tighten it up, welded it on there, took the bolt back out. And what we'll do is we'll stick it right in here, put that bolt back in, and tighten it up, and I can get the welder down onto the two sides here where the tangent point of this plate gets onto the tube, and we weld that in there. Again, it doesn't have to be real strong, it's just got to stay in place. We'll cut it flush, and that way we can pull the bolt in and out with just a wrench on the top side through this hole, and won't have to use two hands, two tools, nothing. Just like that. All right, well, there it is. Pretty much exactly as I described it, I'd say. Get your vertical plate welded to a tube. You can use 2-inch pipe. Nothing too complicated about finding that. Everything I dug out of the scrap pile. You may notice a bit of an embellishment on the front here. Yeah. Looking for something else. Turns out I have one of those. Probably hung onto that for about 35 years. And, why not? Because custom, right? But I had kind of an epiphany while I was doing this. I mentioned early on that, this could be something modular. You could put different attachments on here. And I had said this pipe was originally dedicated for making a pipe anvil, which is what Gene Winfield calls it. And it occurred to me, I'm like, hey, this can be the pipe anvil too. So you can look up what that is. I'll show you what one looks like. But it's basically 3 different diameters of pipe, this being the smallest one, and they're kind of touching tangentially with a tiny, they're pretty close. There's a little space in between them. You basically can slide a piece of sheet metal in between them. The one that he builds is much wider, so you can use a larger sheet. But I thought, well, I'll make a little one here. It's going to be about a 14, 16 inch piece that I can put in there and bend up. It's perfect for patch panels or something like that. The other thing is when I put those other 2 tubes on the bottom, this thing's pretty heavy. Even though these things flex pretty bad, it's still really heavy, and I had to watch what I was doing when I was bolting it on there. When I take it off of here, it's just going to fall over. But if I put those 2 other pipes on the bottom, and depending on how I position them, it'll stand up. It'll be like 2 different legs, because it doesn't really matter how they're at as long as you can get a sheet in there and bend it around. So I know I'm talking about something that's kind of visual, but you can definitely look up pipe anvil and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, imagine basically instead of one single tube here, there'd be a little bit bigger tube here and an even bigger tube over here that you'd slide it in and bend it. That tool's a really good way to get some quick form on a part and not have to get out the bead roller, and you can get pretty far with that. And it's kind of something that goes along with what you'd be doing with the I meant slip roll machine. It's kind of something you'd be doing along with the bead roller too. Originally, I was planning on making a kind of a rack across the bottom of this. If you look at some of the bead roller stands, they've got all the dies, because these come off and change here to different patterns and functions. They got them stacking up and down, and I don't really like that. I don't like bending over too much if I don't have to. I'm getting old, and I thought, well, I'm just going to do something horizontally or along here. But it occurred to me, I could still do that and just have that rack part kind of slide into my pipe anvil tubes, and I can just take it off if I want to take this apart. So lots of possibilities here. You can look online. If you got one of these plate rollers, you probably already know there's 1,000,001 modifications to make them better, and that they just flat need to make it more functional. I mean, they work as is. It's hand cranked right here. I plan on eventually powering that, because I got a dead garage door opener. May use some other motor, but I can run that off the back here and still bolt it on and remove it. Still keeping my engine stand. Definitely came out exactly how I hoped. Pretty easy to make if you want to do your own. You can definitely, there's no pattern or anything. It's just, I did offset this in the front. You can see here, because I was attempting to get them pretty close to the center line, which, the tube's too small to get it exactly in the middle. But, instead of putting it right at 12 o'clock, I set it off to the side, and that gave me a better area to weld on the back side there. I could do a true, fillet weld on the back and burn it in pretty good. But it's solid. The flex that it has is in the stand, and we can deal with that, whether it's even going to some extremes and putting in, another leg off the bottom here to support it. I don't know. We'll see what works. I think it's probably going to be more noticeable if you hand crank it than if it was motorized, but we'll see. But like I said, I'm pretty happy with it, and mission accomplished. Well, how about that? I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, definitely a lot of variations you can customize and do what you need to do on that. And those things really need to stand, and the stands are like $150, so that's pretty crazy. Probably couldn't build one for $150, but you buy a $50, $60, $75 engine stand and do something where you can take it apart like I showed you how to do, then you still got an engine stand. If you need it later on, you can take this and set it in the corner till you need it again. That was my whole goal. I try to make things multi-use, and I hope that you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here, because even if you're a pro shop, which I am definitely not, even if you are, you want to maximize your dollars, and you can take that thing apart. If you decide you don't want to mess with it no more, bust it all down, sell all the pieces, and get your money back. So it's kind of a smart way to do things. I mean, efficiency is key. So I hope you got something out of that. And if you did, I appreciate you doing that homework. Like, subscribe, and share. Definitely comment. Love to hear what you got to say. If you hate it, if you like it, don't care, we want to hear it. And we're going to keep doing it anyway. So we'll see you next time on Smith Motor Works. Thanks, everybody.